But sometimes we lose media, lost media. Then we all go search for media, lost media. It's not found, it's lost, lost media. Sometimes it's well known, we all know that it's media, lost media. We love to search for media, but it's not that media, lost media. It's lesser known, lost media. Not well known, but it's still lost, lost media. Lost media, it's lesser known, lost media. Here with Mr. Shaw.
What's up, Chimera crew? Welcome back to Volume 83 of Lesser Known Lost Media. If you're new to the channel, well, why are you starting with Volume 83? But no matter, you have 82 great episodes to watch after this. How it works, if you're new, is we start the show with 4 pieces of family-friendly, safe-for-work, lost media that you just don't hear about here on YouTube all that often. We then go into a 5th, spicier piece. And if you've seen this show before, you know how it goes. Let's begin. At number 1, we have Calvin and Hobbes, a lost Disney test animation based on the comic strip. The existence is unconfirmed, but is said to be from the early 1990s. Now, if any of you don't know, Calvin and Hobbes is a comic strip created by American cartoonist Bill Watterson in 1985, which revolves around the miscellaneous adventures of Calvin, a 6-year-old boy, and his friend Hobbes, a stuffed plush tiger, who from Calvin's view is a real anthropomorphic tiger. First appearing in newspapers on November 18, 1985, and ending on December 31, 1995, the strip has been referred to as the last great newspaper comic, winning various awards and having an impact on pop culture. Now, unlike various other comic strips like Garfield and Peanuts, Calvin and Hobbes has very little in terms of official merchandise outside of calendars and other miscellaneous products, due to Watterson not wanting his strip to be taken over by commercialization, a thing he saw as a negative in the comic strip business, ruining the strip's integrity. As for the lack of animated adaptations like films or TV show, while Watterson appreciated the art form of animation, he was unsure of an animated adaptation of the strip, finding the idea of hearing Calvin's voice as very scary, feeling that he wouldn't be able to work with a group of animators. While attempts were made by people such as Jim Henson and Steven Spielberg, none got anywhere. However, the Walt Disney Company supposedly once got in touch with Watterson to adapt his comic strip for an animated project, which, while short-lived, did lead to a test animation being created, supposedly. As the story goes, around the early 1990s, after a screening of Album Entertainment's A Wish for Things That Work, an animated adaptation of his colleague Berkeley Breathitt's children's book of the same name, he was in contact with Disney for an animated project on the strip. Whether or not this would have been a TV series or film is unclear. The same can be said for the origins of Watterson's connection with Disney. Now, to convince Watterson, Disney allegedly got Eric Goldberg, an in-house animator of theirs who had recently finished working as the lead animator for the genie in Aladdin, to make a pencil test as a way to experiment on how Watterson's characters would have looked like when animated, with the test featuring Hobbes stretching and stirring from a nap. This test ended up receiving a positive response from Watterson, but later on he passed on the idea, with production on this project being shut down, possibly from Watterson viewing how Garfield's animated series ended up being. Now, what is available of this piece of lost media? Well, there's no official statement on this project or test. There is some evidence that points to it being real. In the 2013 documentary Dear Mr. Watterson, during an interview with Watterson's editor, Lee Salem, he mentions Disney as one of the several people attempting to produce an animated adaptation of the strip. Now, additionally, in Character Animation Crash Course, an instructional book written by Eric Goldberg about creating and animating characters, on page 14 during a segment discussing animating already established characters and styles, he hints at the existence of the test, stating, "Just for yucks, imagine you got the secret dream assignment of many animators. Do a 30-second test of Bill Watterson's Calvin and Hobbes. If you can figure out a better place to get your poses than Watterson's beautiful, practically animated already drawings, then good luck to you. But, again, As of right now, there is no official media of this test, nor has it even been officially confirmed to exist. So right now, all we have are rumors. Now, I wasn't personally a big Calvin and Hobbes fan. I had nothing against the thing. I just wasn't really exposed to it much, but I had friends who were really, really into it later on, like when I was in high school, and they were the ones who first told me just about how much Watterson hated the idea of commercializing his work, which I can respect that. I mean, personally, I'm a sellout. If I see a lot of creators that I watch here on YouTube get their U2's dolls made of their avatars, God, I would love to get popular enough to get a U2's of my Mr. Sean persona. But with all that being said, Disney being the kings of commercialization, I can understand why, even if this test does exist, why Watterson would have eventually passed on the project, but it still would be neat to see. At number 2, we have Thick as a Plank, a lost unaired pilot of a rejected BBC general knowledge comedy panel show from 1996. So, Thick as a Plank was a rejected BBC general knowledge comedy panel that was produced by Talkback Television and featured Jack Doherty as its host, with the format being conceptualized following the success of another Talkback panel show, They Think It's All Over. Alas, following a dry run filmed between June and autumn of 1996, the show was overlooked in favor of Nevermind the Buzzcocks. Now, a little bit of history on this. So after the sports comedy panel show They Think It's All Over debuted in 1995 to commercial and critical success, production company Talkback Television pondered the conceptualization of two similar programs later that year. One of these was a pop quiz show titled Now That's What I Call a Pop Quiz, which would eventually become Nevermind the Buzzcocks. However, Talkback's managing director, Peter Fincham, also suggested a general knowledge format. This concept was titled Thick as a Plank, a reference to plank being utilized as a slang term for an unintelligent individual. Particularly, the expression as thick as two short planks refers to someone who is exceptionally brainless. Now, both shows were officially announced in June of 1996. At the time, it was confirmed Mark Lamar would host Now That's What I Call a Pop Quiz, though no presenter had yet been found for Thick as a Plank. Eventually, the role was given to Jack Doherty, a writer and actor. Doherty starred in the Channel 4 sketch comedy show Absolutely, and also wrote for other comedic programs like Spitting Image and Vic Reeves's Big Night Out. The show would consist of 30-minute episodes. Among the guests for the dry run included Tony Hawks, Maria Forstrup, Hugh Dennis, Jermaine Greer, Fred McCulley, and Peter Serafinowicz. It is unclear whether any of them were considered potential show regulars. Meanwhile, Mark Barfield is credited as the pilot's writer and one of its program associates, while Steve Smith directed the program. Now, in the June 12, 1996 issue of the Daily Mirror, it was reported that BBC had initially greenlit both Thick as a Plank and Now That's What I Call a Pop Quiz for debuts in the autumn of that same year. According to one insider, the BBC highly valued the markability of celebrity-based panel shows following They Think It's All Over's success. In actuality, Talkback would only produce a full series for one of them. After having reviewed the pilots, the BBC and Talkback ultimately selected Now That's What I Call a Pop Quiz, which again would be renamed as Nevermind the Buzzcocks. Consequently, Thick as a Plank was scrapped following its unaired pilot. So, is anything still available? Well, little is ultimately known about Thick as a Plank, thanks to research by the British Television Pilot Episodes Research Guide circa 1936 to 2015. The pilot's host, guests, production crew, and runtime have been confirmed. Additionally, Kaleidoscope confirms that the pilot still exists within BBC's archive. This is ironic considering Nevermind the Buzzcocks' dry run has notably gone missing. Alas, no footage nor photographs are known to have publicly surfaced of the pilot of Thick as a Plank. Again, this one's just kind of interesting to me because, again, I also appreciate the marketability of celebrity-driven panel shows, at least once upon a time. I don't think they do as well now, necessarily, but it definitely, that's the one thing that I've always found unapproachable to some of these, is they're themed around things I don't know much about, or in some cases just don't hold any interest in, but a general knowledge one would be very accessible to me and to a lot of people, I believe. So I'm amazed maybe this one just didn't play well, but I feel like it would have been great. Alright, coming in at number 3, we have J Squad, which are partially found English versions of Australian animated interstitials circa 2002 to 2003. So, Junior is a German children's television network, and a programming block based on the network has been broadcast internationally. 30-second animated shorts, similarly titled Junior, were shown as wraparound segments between other animated series. In some countries, such as Australia, both the programming block and the animated shorts were called J Squad. The wraparound animations were premiered on March 18th of 2000, and they center around the experiences of 3 kids, Junior, his sister Jane, and his friend Jazz. 300 wraparound were created in total. The shorts were co-produced by the German company Trico Company and the Canadian company Click Animation for EM.TV. Directed by Bernie Dank, the short films were created using motion capture and CGI and given a 2D look using the program Illustrate. They were nominated for the Pulcinella Award, whatever that is. Now, this block and the wraparounds that accompany it were shown in multiple countries and dubbed into several languages. In Australia, they were aired on Network 7 in 2002 and 2003, and in Finland on MTV3 in 2001, and Ireland on TG4. Some of the wraparounds were released on a now out-of-print Australian DVD titled The Best of J Squad Volume 1, along with 3 episodes of series which were shown as part of the programming block: Puccini, What About Mimi, and Weirdos. Now, some of the English versions of these shorts are available online, but not all of them. However, German versions of several wraparounds have been uploaded to YouTube. Now, on October 26th of 2018, YouTube channel Made for Kids TV uploaded a video containing 4 interstitials in English. Now, I could not find just a count of how many are available in English, but I would go on the fact that it only mentions the 4 in the article, so that would mean 296 interstitials in English are missing, which is a lot. I was always amazed that, looking back, when I was a kid, shows would come on and I would simply assume that they were made in America. I understood that anime was a thing. To be fair, I really only fully understood anime as a thing in about middle school age, maybe. Like, I didn't understand that these were like things like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon were Japanese cartoons. I didn't have that international view that age and exposure to the world has given me. But looking back too, it's not just anime. A lot of cartoons that we watched as kids were not American cartoons. They'd simply been dubbed after the fact. So always an interesting topic. At number 4, we have what is honestly definitely my favorite piece of this episode, if not one of the most famous pieces I've ever, favorite pieces that I've ever stumbled on, and that is Jollibee Character Songs Volumes 1 and 2, partially found promotional album for a Filipino fast food chain from 1984. Jollibee Character Songs is a 1984 vinyl album released exclusively at the Filipino fast food conglomerate Jollibee in its restaurants in 2 albums, with the 2 albums later being released commercially as a double album. It is produced for Jollibee by WEA Records, now Universal Records, a subsidiary of Warner Music Group's East Asia division. Each album, along with the double album, also include the lyric sheet and the board game. The album project was conceived by Joseph T. Joaquin, who also serves as the producer on the project and had written 29 songs for the album. Now, the 2-volume album was released separately in most Jollibee restaurants in 1984, with the double album later being released commercially by WEA in record bars in the same year. As of right now, no copies of the 2-volume album nor the commercially released double album have resurfaced online since the initial sale. Some tracks, however, have resurfaced on YouTube. In November of 2024, YouTube user Vintage Panda posted a Jollibee Songs Volume 2 full album. As for Volume 1, only the final track, the Jollibee jingle, coming in at 1 minute 2 seconds, is currently found. The rest are lost. Which, just to put into perspective, the album had 16 tracks, meaning that 15 are still lost. Just because I think they sound fun, I'm going to read to you the names of the lost tracks in order. There's Miss Chicky's Song, I'm on My Way to Jollibee, They're the Ones with the Yum, Happy Days Are Always Here, Ding Dong Song, Mr. Yum's Song, Let's Dance the Chickie, Your Friends from Jollibee, Miko's Song, Yum Burgers All the Time, Hetty's Song, Super Yum, JB's Song, Popo's Song, and Lady Moo's Song. Now, why is this my favorite that I've covered in a while? Because I love fast food mascots and character brands. Like, I love, even though it is before my time, I love McDonaldland. I love all the various versions of the Burger King Kids Club, of Colonel Sanders, of what was his name? The Pizza Slice from Pizza Hut back in the day. Like, I love fast food mascots. Some people may avoid the Noid, but I embrace him with open arms. Jollibee, there are a few here in America, none near me, so I've never been to one, but I know it's huge in the Philippines, and I love that they have their own. It's very McDonaldland-esque, but not in a way that it's like a ripoff. It's their own thing, and I love that. I love this kind of thing, and I love all of the merchandise that would come out based on these characters. I used to have a Noid plush and a Ronald McDonald plush before my wife made me get rid of them because she found them creepy, but it is what it is. But the fact that there's a whole album about this, and also the album cover had a board game that called Trip to Jollibee, which is just so fun. And I love this, and I do hope that Volume 1 is one day found. Alright guys, if you've made it this far, we're going to get to that spicy piece here in a second, but if you could do me a big favor, a like, comment, subscribe, it really does help the algorithm. It's very hard, it seems, no matter how many views my videos get, it's really hard to get y'all to click that like button and leave a comment. So please, right now, before we get into the spicy piece, please click that like button. Just do it right now, just give it a click. And also, if you can't think of a comment, just comment the words Volume 84, please. We're definitely going to have a Volume 84, but let me know that you want it. If you can't think of a comment, just type Volume 84, please, and click that like button. And with that being said, let's get to that final spicy piece. At number 5, we have Kapuso Mo Jessica Soho, partially found hentai episode of Philippine News Magazine TV show from 2007. Now, Kapuso Mo Jessica Soho, which translates to Your Heartmate Jessica Soho, is a Philippine television news magazine show broadcast by GMA Network, and on January 13th of 2007, the show aired a segment discussing the proliferation of Japanese schmornography genre hentai in the Philippines. Now, KMJS is known in the Philippines for featuring a variety of reports ranging from serious social issues to popular culture. Its host, Jessica Soho, is a multi-award winning journalist who has been the host of her namesake show since 2004. And this episode in January of 2007, on the 13th of January specifically, it featured segments related to the Feast of the Nazarene and animal leather. However, the episode became infamous for discussing the proliferation, hard word to say, of hentai in the country. Hentai is a term used for schmornographic comics and animation produced in Japan. Now, the episode allegedly focuses on how hentai DVDs, mainly from Japan and Korea, entered the Philippines. While the episode aired scenes of various hentai such as Dark Shell and School of Bondage, whole body censorship was applied, but with the moans of passion still being audible. An eyewitness also claims that the episode featured a teenager who regularly watches hentai. The episode then discussed the psychological effects of consuming such material, with a psychologist claiming that hentai is one of the root causes of abnormalities such as voyeurism and fetishism. The episode also featured Filipinos who work in the hentai industry as animators and voice actors. Andro, an animator, claimed he started working on hentai animation since 2005. His fellow animators at a local studio were also hired to become scriptwriters and illustrators of various hentai. He claimed that they are paid for every second of animation they completed. Andrea, a voice actress, claimed she was paid by a Japanese production company in 2006 to dub these hentai animations, and she claimed that dubbing hentai was easier than her usual work as she only had to dub the passionate moans and expressions. However, she switched to dubbing Korean dramas by the time the episode aired in 2007. Now, as to the availability of this episode, JD Reyes, via his blog Reyes-Web, claims that he was able to watch an old upload of the episode on YouTube in 2015. However, GMA's Public Affairs Division pulled down the episode due to copyright infringement. While GMA routinely uploads past episodes of KMJS, they have not uploaded episodes from before 2010 on YouTube or any other video streaming service. This causes the episode to currently be lost. While the full episode remains lost, a preview of the episode's content has been found. A censored version has been uploaded on Facebook, while an uncensored version of this teaser has been uploaded on YouTube. Now, I think things like this, it's very important that they be available to the public because it's so hard sometimes to, have material in that is mass, like a news broadcast or a documentary, things that are available readily on things like, normal television, about the industry of adult entertainment, whether that's to expose it, humanize it, justify it, whatever it is. I mean, all sides deserve to be heard. It's the idea that it needs to be accessible, the discussion of this and what it means, and is it harmful? Is it fine? Is it actually good for society? There are many differing viewpoints on adult entertainment, hentai or otherwise, and people need to be able to discuss this without it being, viewed as a taboo subject. I mean, just now, there's the amount of times I've said hentai in this episode. There's a very good chance this episode will be shadow banned by the algorithm. So it's very important that if you like this episode, that you share it with your friends and get it out there. Help me. Also, those likes and comments, very, very important. But the idea is that we need to have an open dialogue about things like this, and making this episode available for people to watch it, even though it's probably a bit dated, seeing as it came back out in 2007. I mean, the world of Japanese cartoon entertainment, spicy or otherwise, has exploded in the almost 20 years since then. But I still think it's an important topic, and this should definitely be made available. And that's our video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, again, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, consider becoming a channel member or a Patreon patron. It gets you access to all of my member-exclusive videos, starting at just $1 a month. Really not that big a deal for you, but very, very great for me, and I'd be ever so gracious. Until next time, everybody, I'm Mr. Sean. This is Chimera Miniatures, and I sincerely hope that you have a great day and an even beta tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Babe, I found your anime sex doll, and she's kinda freaking me out. Those white eyes and that big smile are suggestive and somehow innocent. You shove it under your bed.